Joining us now live on set, Fox News contributor Liz Peek. All they did was lower the provider tax, and the provider tax is used as a money laundering tool. So a state like North Carolina doesn't have to put one organic dollar into its own Medicaid system. Why am I, a resident of New Jersey, spending more of my tax dollars as a federal taxpayer on North Carolina's Medicaid than a North Carolina resident, Liz Peek?
Well, that is a very good question, Dagan. I'm glad you're worked up about this because I think it's totally appropriate. But let's talk about Larry Summer. Larry Summer was Treasury Secretary under who? Bill Clinton. What was the signature achievement of Bill Clinton's presidency? Welfare reform. And what did that look like? Increased work requirements, a more temporary nature to the aid that was given to families, narrowing the list of families and recipients who could get that aid. And guess what? Everybody was on board with that. In fact, Larry Summers had a op-ed in the Journal recently written with Bob Rubin about how successful that presidency had been because of its fiscal measures. This was the fiscal measure, folks, that made that a successful. And I would also point out, Clinton was pushed, as was Larry Summer, to undertake those things by whom? Newt Gingrich and the Republicans and the Contract for America. So all of this posturing about how tweaking the eligibility requirements for Medicaid is going to lead to all these deaths, it was a hugely successful thing to make exactly the same kind of changes when Bill Clinton was president and Larry Summers was Treasury Secretary. So it's unbelievably hypocritical of him to be doing this.
I'm so glad you brought up Larry's history because he really went downhill from there, didn't he? The Clinton years, they ended up working with Gingrich. We ended up, young people may not believe this, we actually had a balanced budget at the end of that era. Then he goes into the Obama administration where the whole focus is not let's make healthcare better, it's how many people can we get into government insurance programs.
Make more people dependent on the government. That is the plan.
That
is the objective. And what Republicans are trying to do is say, hey, if you can work for a living, all this stuff about how 11 million people are going to lose Medicaid, they don't think a single one of those people can go get a job and get their own health care. It's preposterous. It has worked before. It will work again. And to Dagan's point, Medicaid spending has gone through the roof. It has to happen.
They created a perverse financing incentive to get these states to pile people onto the rolls of the Medicaid Obamacare expansion. $9 they siphoned off the federal government for every dollar a state put in, when it was $1.33 federal reimbursement for $1 for a traditional Medicaid recipient. That is grotesque.
And by the way, that also was a feature of the Clinton reforms, was the difference that taking away the federal government underpinning the
Whereas all the money, Biden and Obama, it didn't make people healthier, which is one of the reasons I think Democrats are overestimating what they seem to perceive as a deep love among Americans for government health programs. They don't work very well, but I think you are not going to see Republican voters say, no, these benefits have got to go to people who refuse to work, even if they're able-bodied, even if they ought to be working.
So a source telling Fox News, Elon Musk has spoken with Andrew Yang about establishing a third political party.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk is quite open about wanting to form the America Party, a third party, an alternative, which he views as centrist. It sounds to me like what his major theme is basically cutting down the deficit. He's very unhappy that the big, beautiful bill, he doesn't think will do that. I think he's kind of in the Yale Budget Lab camp of reading everything in the most negative possible way. Andrew Yang, what is his contribution to the economic dialogue? It is basically universal income, making sure we give money not just on people who can't fend for themselves, but to everybody. Great. What a wonderful concept. It isn't going to work. It's going to make the deficit worse. And I think, honestly, Elon Musk knows better.
Well, I don't think he knows what he wants.
I agree with you, Dagan. He's all over the place on this, for sure.
Oh, he does know what he wants. Attention.
And I think he's mad at Donald Trump. And frankly, having spent so much money electing Donald Trump, spending so much time on Doge, I think he feels like he's not been treated very well, and maybe that's right.
Go worry about Tesla. Not pretty, that stock today
Right.
or this year.
Down 7% today.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.